Hey guys, welcome to another video on the Tech with Edo YouTube channel. Today we'll look at navigating your TPM or technical program manager journey, and we'll see how this looks like in terms of progression from entry level to more senior level and eventual leadership. We'll look a bit of the pathways, both like vertical pathways and also pathways and roles outside of this job family. We'll look at real salary numbers and also what key elements to think about when going for a successful career. So in this module, we'll look at career progression, compensation insights. We'll also look at some market opportunities and how you can specialize in those, and again, some alternative paths. What does the typical TPM career ladder look like? Usually you will start off from a more junior or associate TPM position where your scope is more limited and you're maybe just learning the craft, or you're transitioning away from another job family. You could be a career switcher or a former project manager there, moving up into becoming a technical program manager and developing that skill set. You will then be able to, as you rack up that experience, move into more senior or, normal TPM or then senior TPM eventually, where you have full ownership and scope of full programs with multiple work streams, a lot of different stakeholders, and you really focus on delivering excellence and developing a lot of experience there. Your impact will also increase here, where you'll be coordinating with more and more cross-functional teams. As you go up the ladder, then we have the staff or principal TPM. This is where you're really an expert TPM, and your ownership and your remit and your impact surface area is really broad. So you'll be tasked with looking at the most strategic and technically complex programs that span the entire company's remit. These can also go on for a long time, and you can maybe get involved into yearly planning cycles here as well. At this stage, you can then decide, okay, do I want to specialize as an individual contributor or an IC, or become a manager and a director of other TPMs and get into the coaching, mentorship, and leading aspect of leading TPM people as well. So I've seen more and more tech companies offering both paths. So this is kind of like up to you. You can either specialize as a full-on expert or an eventual manager and leader. There's also, not just from a TPM experience perspective, but there's expertise that you can build around specialized domains. So you can really become an effective TPM having knowledge at the intersection of the TPM skill set and a specific domain area. I left some examples here. There are high value specializations or domain areas. You can become a TPM that's an expert in data platforms or security and compliance topics, infrastructure when it comes to the cloud or platform engineering, also in the area of mobile, like nothing's stopping you to do that. Or you can also become a functional expert when it comes to marketing systems and processes, or CRM systems and processes, or finance and ERP type systems, etc. Like the world is your oyster, but I see most effective TPMs really become great when they merge these two aspects. So an effective TPM skill set married with high value domain expertise in a specific area. And this is usually what gets you to command salary premiums, because you sort of get that specialist tagged that you can leverage. And then from a special, speaking of salary, I've also built a quick TPM Salary Landscape dashboard that I will share in the description, where quoting from reputable sources such as Glassdoor, Levels.fyi, you can get a sense for the high remuneration and high salary that you can command from a TPM perspective. And then I've broken this down into entry level, senior level, principal, and staff director level as well, with the salary distribution breakdown as well. And you can check out the sources here. I'll leave this in the description, but I think the message and the key item that I want to pass along to you here is that this is a fun and interesting and intellectually challenging, but also most importantly, a very remunerative career when it comes to salary. These salaries are in US dollars in the United States, and of course, compensation may vary as usual when it comes to the US versus Europe versus Asia, or the APAC Pacific region at large. But here's an anchor point and some data for you. Going back to the presentation, We've seen a few things about salary. We've talked on domain expertise, but how do you actually get started in building your specialization? So first of all, I think the important is like obviously choosing a domain area that you're passionate about, you have an interest about. And this is already something that you may not have to do at all, because maybe you're already working as a marketing project manager and you love everything about marketing, and the marketing is a business function. You can then very much like choose that as your domain that's market aligned, and then really go deep. And by going deep, what I mean is become a knowledgeable in terms of the 2 or 3 core programs and program templates. And what I mean by that is that in the marketing area or in each domain area, there will be certain types of key initiatives that you will see recurrently throughout the career. So for example, in the database space, it's common to hear of companies work on database migrations or cloud migrations or infrastructure migration projects. Or for example, in the AI space, everyone now is rolling out or trying to build AI agents. This is also what we're working on at Mongo, which is where I work at. So becoming an expert in the typical types of programs in your chosen domain is also important. And then from there, you can actually learn the nuances and go deep in the technical standards and actually start to learn more about the technology, the different nuances that each program has, and stay also up to date with technological developments or innovation developments in your domain. At the end of the day, of course, you always have to build a network, always have to develop relationships with your specialized peers or peers in your domain, which always helps developing your reputation, figuring out new market opportunities, having conversations about, what do I want to learn next, or getting feedback from them on your work as well. There are alternative career paths for TPMs. Like once you get to work as a TPM for a few years, there's always like non-obvious paths that you can take. One is, for example, going into product manager, where you shift your focus from like, okay, how do I deliver a technical program to what I actually build as a product? So the focus is very different there in terms of ownership of that strategic product versus ownership of the way that product is delivered into the market. Or you can become even more technical and go into engineering, or either as an IC or as an engineering manager, and start leading engineering teams directly as well. Or, which is kind of like the path that I actually took, albeit in the reverse direction, you can move into operations and eventually operations leadership. I was working in revenue ops, for example, and then I was like, I want to become a TPN, but nothing's stopping you from doing the opposite, right? So this is where you get to sit closer to the business and closer to the customers if you work in the actual operations space as well. I mean, you may have operations roles that are very sort of like back office focused or internally focused, but things vary also always depending on the company. You can also become an entrepreneur. The TPM skill set is very horizontally applicable. Also, if you want to become a startup founder or a TPM consultant in the future, or even as a fractional TPM or a consultant serving multiple companies at once from a in-house TPM point of view. So the key message I want to leave you here is that TPM skills really create a strong foundation for diverse career moves. You can move wherever you want, and you can create a lot of optionality using a commonly applicable skill set. Ways to accelerate your career growth. So, of course, building a track record, relying on your experience, your reputation, what your peers that worked with you in the past say about you. And also developing an executive presence. So learning how to craft and message and position stories to an executive level audience, really telling stories with data, and also building CEO relationships. These opportunities and relationships can really open up doors for your career. This is my favorite element by far on the slide, which is staying focused on continuous learning, especially if you work close to technology and innovative fields. You will never have to worry about having learned everything that there is to learn about your field. You will always have to stay current with your trends in your industry and really develop technical depth, which will allow you also to then build further executive presence, further your track record, etc., etc. So I cannot emphasize the importance of learning enough, especially nowadays. You can literally hop on YouTube and learn a ton. You can hop on Coursera, Udemy, you can take certifications. Like, you can really never stop, and you shouldn't. Building a network is also as equally fun, perhaps even more fun, right? Developing those key relationships, connecting with your TPM peers, figuring out, okay, what am I doing great, perhaps you're not doing, or what can I learn from this person that I am not doing, and really being able to collaborate and work with each other to better each other at the same time is fantastic. Overall, also being strategic with how you plan and think about moving in your career, really being proactive about selecting where you want to go and not just, hey, take random opportunities, but really thinking about how do these opportunities align with my internal goals. And goals can be professional, but also can be non-professional as well, right? Like, do I want to live in a certain location? What will my partner think if I take a new job in a new location? Like all those usual personal reasons that we need to think through to be strategic as we move careers or roles. And a last one is all about creating visibility, right? So developing your reputation, getting your work and getting your word out there, whether it is by sharing work internally with your colleagues, writing publicly, get on a Substack, open up a blog, speaking at webinars or events. Like all of these help accelerate your career growth and developing your reputation in the field. So here it is. I mean, this is like, I called it your career blueprint, but hopefully these are just like high-level messages that I want you to think about when it comes to thinking about taking up a technical program manager career. There is a clear vertical progression path, and there is also strong market and salary demand for it. But you can really become a true, a true professional if you also specialize in given domain areas. You develop a transferable skill set across other domain areas and other roles and job families that are not necessarily the TPM job family. And also you can really accelerate all of that by, as we've seen, developing your reputation and keeping your learning constant as you go. Thank you so much for checking out this video. I'll see you guys on the next one. Cheers.